Hello and welcome to Clay to Canopy, the show where I attempt to make just about everything from the ground up. I am about to jump into this table. I did one glue up already. I've decided I'm going to turn some of the base parts. I have not turned a piece this large on my lathe, so I have no idea how this is going to go. When it comes to a lot of my making, I prefer to just have the artist mentality where I will just kind of sort of have an idea of what I'm going to do, but not necessarily have a full plan. I know I probably should have a more technical drawing done up of what I'm doing, but I don't know, it's always worked out for me in the past just to kind of have an idea in my head and just go with it and see what happens. To check out my intro for the New England Sunporch and to see other videos I have made so far, please check out the playlist under my channel. And that reminds me, if you are not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It really does help me out. Things were a little rocky in the beginning. This thing was jumping all over the place. I knew I needed to slow down the lathe, but I thought I was going to be able to do that while it was running. I had to remove the thing, slow it down manually, and then re-rig it back up. So in my old space, downtown LA, I had a lot more room and I had 2 lathes at one point. And this lathe I got towards the end of my time there. I've not really unlocked its major capabilities. As you can see, all's good here. So I'm gonna be pulling this guy off and starting the second leg. Or is it really a leg? Side of the table, the underside. I guess it's a leg. It's only got 2 legs. This table's gonna have 2 legs with some little things coming off. So this is a piece of mahogany plywood saved from the trash, which is what I try and do with a lot of my materials if I can, but it's kind of jacked up, but it has some really good stuff inside. It's actually solid pieces of mahogany inside. So I'm gonna cut where it's good and use this for my tabletop. Here are the tiles. Probably about a year and a half ago, I made about 1,500 of these tiles, all with different texture and all made by hand. So these are going to be what I'm sinking into this tabletop. This is the pattern I've gone with, and the quilt I am working on is going to mimic this pattern. I want to set these tiles in, so I need to route out a section where I'm cutting into the table so that they'll sit flat. They're mostly sort of all the same height. They're a little bit of wonkiness, but whatever, I'm gonna roll with a little bit of wonky. I am probably breaking just about every woodworking rule in doing what I'm about to do because I am going to be sinking these tiles and then grouting them into a moving wood surface, especially since this plywood is solid wood underneath. So yeah, this is probably something you should never do, but since this is reclaimed wood, what the heck, we're gonna go with it and see what the hell happens. So these guys are all set. I cut down the block ends. They're good to go. The next thing I need to do is to make the parts that go at the top and the bottom of these that will eventually form the apron. Spent some time making these templates. This is gonna be the bottom, and then this will be the top. I'm going to take these templates and I will be cutting out first one shape, sanding it nicely, and using that as the template to stack and make them thicker because I think I need at least 2 layers. So these are going to get glued onto another sheet of plywood, and then I will be using a router to flush trim what the top pattern is to the bottom one. However, I ran into kind of a big problem. Because this wood is recycled and that core was not like 100%, I have a big chunk here, and the router, it has a bearing that rides against the piece that's your pattern piece, and it copies that to the bottom piece. And so because these giant gashes are here, when the router goes to follow it, it's going to hit a space and dive, and it's going to be a problem. So I'm going to have to come up with a combination of making some wood filler from the sawdust, and then also trying to find bits of pieces from my scraps that I can glue in its place. I was working away and I hit a snag, and here we are. So this is what happens when you're working with reclaimed or recycled or basically trash wood. When I was running the router through, it kept hitting and picking up big chunks. They were flying all over the place and I had to stop to re-glue them back in. This is just one of the joys of working with reclaimed materials. So, all right, I'm gonna get back to work. I cut up my strips that are going to become the edge of my tabletop, and then I went to work with my biscuit joiner or my biscuit cutter, whatever term you like to use. For me, and what I'm using it for on this top is just for a placement situation. Now this can be used to join panels together and as an actual active joint. So these are biscuits. These are my biscuits. And they come in different sizes, and this joiner will cut different sizes depending on what you need. These biscuits are designed to expand when they come in contact with moisture. So when I start applying the glue and gluing this thing up, what's happening inside is that they start to expand and swell into the joint, so it'll be a good seal. This has taken way too long of a frustrating several weeks of me dealing with basically crappy plywood that I'm trying to reclaim, and they are ready for edging. The other thing is I need to start cutting the joints into these pieces because I was not sure about what this was, and I'm working as I go. I have now a shape which is going to be very difficult for me to put on the bandsaw and not try and either break the bandsaw or get injured somehow without building a jig. This is something I should have addressed from the very beginning, because before I turned them, these joints should have been put into them. But because I'm kind of making this up as I go, this is where I am right now. So, I don't know. Maybe you should do better planning and don't just jump into things and hope for the best. But I'm gonna make it work. It's gonna be a bridle joint. My pieces are sanded and I'm ready to start applying my edging. I have a 1-inch strip and I have a 2-inch strip for the thicker ones. It basically is a strip of wood that has adhesive on the back, and it sets itself with heat. Now, they will sell random products for edging that are probably a ridiculous waste of money if you are not going into a professional business of edging. I just purchased a very cheap iron. It's basically my shop iron. I don't iron my clothing, you probably know that by now. The other thing I have is this guy. This is a little mini wand iron that I got at Joann's. I love this thing. A pair of scissors, and I have a cheapy 99-cent store scissors, and a couple of sharp flat razor blades. My original plan for this glue up was to do the two sides separately and rig up some kind of jig, but then I realized that that probably was not a good idea because I'd end up with the top maybe not being flat. So I went ahead and I glued up just the top with the aprons first, and then glued up my two side pieces at the same time. Another round of glue up for the final assembly allowed me to be able to kind of eyeball what was going to look like square. This garage floor is sloped, the table's messed up. Basically, I did not have a level surface, and I didn't want to try and figure out some kind of rigging up of getting things level. I just eyeballed what looked like it was gonna, be somewhat level. So even if I put a level on it, if the floor is uneven and the table's uneven and everything else is uneven, it was gonna still be wonky. So I just eyeballed it, stuck in some shims where need be, and I think it's okay. So at this point, my next move is to do some final sanding, clean up any bits of glue that might be left over in residue, maybe do a bit of filling. And then I'm gonna oil this puppy. I'm gonna go with my traditional teak oil. I like an oil finish, especially on pieces of furniture. I will hit it with some wax, which is my normal standard when I am finishing. It is time to finally get these tiles in. I'm really not sure how to go about doing this, so wish me luck. Hope this goes well. I am just about done here. I am about to install my figure eights on the top so that I can get the base attached to the tabletop. Now, a figure eight is exactly what it sounds like. It's a little piece that looks like an 8, and you put one screw on one side onto one piece, and then the other screw goes onto the other side. So this will kind of dangle off of the edge of my piece. I do have to be careful because when I inset this plywood, even though it's 3/4 of an inch thick, but I did take out a good 1/8 of an inch for those tiles to sink down. I probably took out more than that, probably more like a 1/4 of an inch. So I have to use very shallow screws. I really wanted these figure eights in a brass. I couldn't find them. So here I am with different colored pieces of hardware here, which drive me nuts. All right, everybody, she is finished. The top is on, everything is good to go. This is the second large piece I have made for the environment. I have the chair finished and the table. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe if you have not done so already, and stick around to see how the rest of this room comes together.